Manchester City 2, Manchester United nil, and as the title says, this is the end. It's over, really. Well, to be honest, you can make a case that it should have been over last season after United dropped into Europa League. But there's nothing more to say. I think the big real takeaway from this game, definitively, because to be honest, I stopped watching the game after the first half because unlike last season when you could think, okay, comeback FC, you could come back. This season, we've just not been that. There's been no real big comeback FC in a sense that our overall performance has improved in the second half. That hasn't happened. And I think this game was really the impression I got was like this team is demoralized, dispirited, and they're probably not playing for the manager anymore. Even Ollie looks like he's just given up. So clearly there's a change that's needed here, and going into international break, I think it's going to happen. I'd be very, very. I think what I would say is that if Ole Gunnar Solskjaer isn't sacked going into this international break, then really you can only really blame the board, really, because he's not going to sack himself. I mean, I wouldn't walk away from a 10 million payday. I wouldn't. I'll be real. So I'm not going to make the same expectation for Ollie. Oh, he should resign. Like, no, instead of the Glazers taking out their dividends, just pay him the 10 million. I think that he signed the contract and then send him on his way. The only thing I would also say to add to that is that there's no point in sacking Ollie if the coaching stuff around doesn't help either. We've said we brought in set piece coaches, new coaches that seem supposedly getting their experience at Manchester United. They need to go as well. They're not good enough for the quality. Like this culture of like learning on the job. Like, I mean, to fair to Ollie, he's been manager mode. He's got a bit of experience, but a lot of the other coaches around him are learning on the job. They're not even as experienced, So I've always said that I think Ollie could have done a decent job at United had he had coaches around him. But as we found, if people recall, Mourinho, when Louis Favre, I think it was, left and left Mourinho by himself, he was handed McKenna and Carrick effectively. And in that season, we were abysmal, So, I guess what I'm saying is that I don't want a situation where we get like a Zidane or any other manager, and they're also handed these same coaches. The coaching setup at Manchester United in general has to be revamped. It's not just a question of, because a lot of managers they just manage or in game, even though Ollie's in game manager is not good, but they don't coach. And Ollie has said he doesn't coach the players. We know this. So we need to actually get good coaches in to work alongside the new manager as well. And unfortunately, I just don't see it. But man, United are in the mud. Embarrassment. I can't remember the last time we even scored at Old Trafford in the league. We've held 7 goals to our rivals with no reply. You can see the players are frustrated. A lot of people are going to be going in on Eric Bailly for conceding that sort of thing. I'm already seeing this is the thing about this fan base as well, right? As well is that we're also very quick to turn on players rather than when they make a mistake, rather than players that have been doing this sort of consistently. So as soon as Bayer does the thing, which to be honest for me, I think he has every right to do that. I don't know why people say it's reckless, because at the end of the day, 2 things should happen. 1, your captain should say, don't go for it, I've got it covered. If that's the case, that comes to communication. And 2, like part of our big problem today has actually been cutting the ball and stopping crosses. I've seen this time and time again. It's the same thing that happened against Liverpool, even against Atalanta. Like if we're playing a back 3, back 5, whatever, and yet we can't even stop crosses from coming in. Whether it's a back 4, it's a back 5, we can't. And in City in this game, certainly from the first half that I saw, because I got involved in the second half, even though we made the changes, they just pressed the life out of us. We couldn't get out. There was no outlet. We have no one to really hold up the ball, run at them. People were saying that we were going to set up to counter City. We didn't set up to counter City. Setting up to counter City is playing Daniel James and Rashford on either flanks and putting a Garlo up top. I'm being serious. I posted a tweet saying that we actually look better against City with Garlo and Daniel James. And I wasn't wrong. Because whatever you say, Igalo, he's nowhere near a better finisher as Ronaldo at all. But what he did do, and I think in that win at Old Trafford to get 2-0, but people remember when McTominay scored, is he can hold up the ball. hold up the ball. That's what you need to happen. And then if you're going to counter attack, you've got someone as quick as Daniel James, although technically not great, causing Walker and so on so many problems. We didn't have that. Our front two players were completely isolated. We couldn't run at them. We were paying back. We just out of ideas. And at the end of the day, Ollie, me, I always remember what he did in 1999. I know a lot of players want to see that, so that will always be in my treasure. But it's over to the Glazers, man. He's got to go, because this just was just painful.